points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Minuk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mendel. The Illegal Curve post-game show starts now.
0 goals at 5-on-5, 0 points in the standings. Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba, for all those joining us live this evening on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms. We say good evening, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show. With Ezra Ginsburg, with the hostage, Dave Minuk, I'm your host, Drew Mendel, here to discuss tonight's Winnipeg Jets defeat. They lose 2-1 on Long Island against the Islanders. They lose 3 of 4 on the road trip, and any of the good vibes that existed following the Hellebuckian stealing of a game on Monday in New York against the Rangers dissipated tonight on Long Island. Gentlemen, good to see you both. Dave, blink twice if you need us to send a rescue crew for you. Okay, that's once, that's twice. Folks, send a rescue crew for Dave. That's the official symbol that Dave needs some help. Ezzy, you look resplendent as always. Nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you, boys. The best is right before we went live here, Dave is asking Drew and I, like, the lighting's not that bad, right? And Drew and I are telling Dave, like, it's not the worst lighting that we've seen, but it's not exactly, you know, the best lighting we've seen either. So it's okay, Dave. All that matters is we can see you. You know, you mentioned, Drew, that the Jets lost 3 of 4 on this road trip. They could have easily lost all 4 games on this road trip. And they were right in this game. I mean, this game was tied for a big chunk of it, right? Obviously, you know, the Simon Holmstrom goal coming around the midway mark of the third period is a killer, especially with the way Ilya Sorokin was playing. But, I mean, the Jets had no shortage of power play opportunities. They couldn't convert. Yep. And obviously, you know, the Dylan DeMello penalty. By the way, how funny was it how high he jumped after getting that penalty? I don't know if I've ever seen a player take a penalty and then, you know, that's like a Mendel type of vertical there.
Well, you know, it's like, when was the last time you saw like an NHL player sort of throw a bit of a temper tantrum about a penalty in that kind of situation? It was odd because it was a penalty. Like, he did slash him, so I didn't really understand what DeMello's reaction.
They probably could have let it go, but. It wasn't the worst slash I've ever seen, Drew.
Given how many calls they'd made against the Islanders in that period, I thought that was a warranted penalty given the tone of the game and how they'd been calling it to that point. It'd been pretty consistent, I think, that even if things were marginal, they were calling marginal things. So I don't mind that, you know, in that instance that call get made because it was at least consistent with how the rest of the game had gone. Look, you know,
I just think Dylan DeMello would have been better served using that energy to actually defend better.
That would have been a better use of his time. That's true, Dave. Look, guys, you don't get any goals. Let's just look at this road trip. 4 games. Count the goals that they got.
Hold on, forget about that. Let's talk about the fact that you're chasing by a goal, and they had 5 turnovers in either their zone or the neutral zone as they were trying to push the puck up the ice. I mean, it was abysmal. It was abysmal. Now go back to your 5 month. No, it was.
I like the blunt attitude, Dave.
It was crazy. Like, honestly, you're watching this and you're thinking to yourself, you guys are chasing the game and they're casual. Even with under a minute to go, casual would be the word I would use. The Jets there was no fire. Like, honestly, when I was watching, the third period looked like two teams that were happy to get to overtime because they both wanted a point. They didn't look like neither team wanted to make a mistake. Mm-hmm. And when they did make a mistake, i.e. what happened with the Jets in their zone, which ended up in the game-winning goal, sure, the team took advantage of it. But for the most part, I thought it was two teams that looked like, hey, we don't really care if they get a point, but we need a point. And we're desperate, especially the Islanders, who are in a tight race, even though the Jets should be desperate because they haven't played well of late. Mm-hmm. But I mean, look, where was the urgency? Like, you're not, like, you're comfortably in a playoff spot, but that sound you hear is Colorado. That sound you hear is Minnesota because they're rolling right now and you're not. So I don't know, the lack of urgency from the Jets, a casualness to the game from the Jets. It was, and it's embarrassing. You know, when the Jets controlled the play, right? The Jets in the second period, specifically, and for some parts of the third. But the fact is that, like, your goaltender did what he did for you that last game. The least you could have done as a team, as a collective, was had a better effort, I thought, collectively.
Dave M. bringing the heat all nice and early.
Well, and Dave's not wrong.
He's not wrong. No,
it's the third game in 4 days, right? So we knew this road trip was going to be hard, regardless of, anything else, right? Who was in the lineup for the other teams, right? Like, a lot of the focus, Dave, was on, Matt Barzal being out of the lineup, and, JG Pajot's out of the lineup, Cal Clutterbuck. There's another player, Wallstrom.
There's two other players, Ezzy.
Oliver
Wallstrom's
Wallstrom,
out, and
right?
One other guy is out. They're missing
Right,
five
but
of their
they've still
regulars.
got a good team there, right?
Yeah.
Like Brock Nelson, Anders Lee, Bo Horvat. I think Noah Dobson's an underrated player. Ryan Pollock from Manitoba, of course. And they've got some players they're hungry, right? Simon Holmstrom, who's taken 3 picks after Heinola, Dave, in the 2019 draft. He gets the game-winning goal. Like, they've got some young, Hudson Fasching. Like, they've got players that are taking the advantage of the opportunity that they're given because of injuries, right? And as you mentioned, they're trying to hang on to that wild card spot. Mm-hmm. And yeah, the second period was dominant by the Jets.
Yeah.
But for the most part, this was a very even game. I wouldn't say that either team, on the deserve win meter, either team necessarily was head and shoulders above the other. But look at Connor Hellebuck won you the game against the Rangers, and this was a game in which someone had to bury a goal. And Drew's right. They didn't score enough goals on this road trip. They've continued to struggle against the Eastern Conference. And it makes sense considering that the Eastern Conference is head and shoulders better than the Western Conference. I don't care what anybody says. Yes, Colorado is a legitimate Stanley Cup contender. And I think there's some other Stanley Cup contenders in the West. But I think we'd agree 1 through 8 in the East, you're going to take those teams over the 1 through 8 in the West, right? But yeah, it was frustrating to watch the Jets struggle to score the equalizer and the penalty, obviously. But look, at both goals were the result of turnovers. Like 4-on-4, Mason Appleton just can't make that pass, right? And I don't want to pick on Appleton here. I think we'd all agree, Appleton, hasn't been as effective as you would like, playing an elevated role. But I mean, this was a game that was there for the taking. Sorokin ended up being one shot better than Hellebuck, really, is what this game came down to.
One shot better, the lack of the lack of offense again, it continues to be an issue. I mean, you look at this Jets lineup, and again, we only have to talk about the trade deadline for another 9 days because Kevin Cheveldayoff, something needs to happen on that front coming up relatively soon. So, I mean, I know that it's just every year it seems like it's the same thing, that nothing happens until an actual deadline forces their hand. But you look at this Jets team, and what I've discovered is the Jets team, or basically most of the good teams in the West, are average teams in the East. That's just what they are. The Jets.
That's a good way of putting it, Drew.
Yeah, the Jets are. You can't tell me that the Jets, I mean, record-wise or their placement in the standings wise, you can't tell me besides that the Jets are much better than the New York Islanders, because they're not. You saw it tonight. You see the whole.
Well, and the Jets are relatively, almost completely healthy, with the exception of Cole Perfetti. Cole Perfetti is the only significant injury they have right now.
That's right, and so and the Islanders, as we just discussed, are banged up and have a number of regulars out of their lineup.
Well, it's two of your top 3 centers, right?
Well, yeah, exactly, and so this is a game. The Jets have to find a way to win this game. They just do. They have to find a way to, and Ilya Sorokin's a good goalie. Ilya Sorokin's, that doesn't mean that, you can't find a goal on him. Doesn't mean you can't buy a goal 5-on-5. It doesn't mean that you can't, that all is lost. You have to find a way to get a goal. The problem is the Jets have, in terms of guys who can score a goal or really generate a goal for themselves, the Jets have 4 or 5 forwards that can do that. Mm-hmm. They got Scheifele, they got Ehlers, they got Connor, they got Dubois. I mean, those are the guys who can generate
the players
goals.
That were on the first power play unit tonight, which are the players that we've been saying for months and years are the players that should be on the top power play unit. It should be Ehlers, Dubois, Connor, Scheifele, and Morrissey.
Right.
I mean, that's obvious to anybody.
Yes, I agree wholeheartedly. Those are the only guys. I'm talking 5-on-5. Those are the only guys who can generate offense, on their own, who can really sort of strike fear into their opponent, or that the opponent has to game plan for. It's just those 4. I mean, Wheeler is effective as a passenger alongside some talented players.
He had a beautiful scoring chance within the first 3 or 4 minutes. Remember, it was Wheeler's to the left of Sorokin, and he just slid it, and it kind of just went along the goal line. Yeah. So I thought Wheeler had a good game, but again, we're talking about you need to find some greasy goals, and you need to at least, salvage this road trip and make it a 500 road trip. And they just didn't seem to have it. And again, for all this talk about 3 and 4 nights, and by the way, it's going to be 4 games in 6 nights. They had 12 days off with the All-Star break. 12
no travel.
days
And
off.
Ezzy, no travel in New York.
Right.
Yeah.
And
you're
how
talking,
many-
you're talking about trains.
No, you're not talking about anything. They stayed in the
No,
same
they stayed.
hotel.
They didn't leave their
Yeah.
hotel.
No, but I was
None
just
of the-
joking in terms of
I know.
how close
No,
all
yeah.
the cities are. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. And not only that, they didn't, it's not like they practiced in between. Like they had days off. So the fact is, like, it's not like, God, I can't hear this. Like, well, it's so taxing. Okay, don't get me wrong. And that Rangers game was surely taxing on Connor Hellebuck. And Connor Hellebuck looked like he was ready to play tonight. But, and again, they didn't, it's not as if he got peppered, right? I mean, what were the final shot numbers for the
25
Islanders?
shots or something,
26, 22 in favor of the Jets.
Yeah. So, I mean, it wasn't like Hellebuck was killed with shots today. But, I mean, look, at the end of the day, you want to be the 2017-18 Winnipeg Jets, and you're looking more like the 2018-19 Winnipeg Jets that had a great first half and then had a slog of a second half.
And they faded.
Right?
Yeah.
And they faded. And that's what this team currently looks like right now. And you can say, as he's right. I mean, look, the Islanders, people can, first of all, Sorokin's a phenomenal goaltender. And so that's
I think
number
he's
one.
top 5 in the league.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's a phenomenal goaltender. So people
Yeah.
are saying the Islanders aren't very good. I mean, they've got one of the best, similar to the Jets. They've got a very good goaltender that equalizes a lot. Number one. And number two, as Ezzy quite succinctly put, they've lost 5 regulars and are still finding ways to win games. The Jets have one regular in Cole Perfetti, who's not in right now, and they've got their whole lineup, and they're not winning games.
Well,
So
the problem is you look at the forwards. I mean, you look at the forwards. You have, I mean, the vast majority of the Winnipeg Jets forwards, and this is on Kevin Cheveldayoff at this point in time, just aren't up to the task of creating any offense. I mean, you look at Adam Lowry. I mean, we were talking about this. Adam Lowry is just a black
He looks like a guy
hole.
that's dealing with something. I don't know what you guys think, but he looks like a guy who's either
he's
you know,
fighting. He's fighting the puck.
He's fighting something. He just doesn't look like the same effective player. So sorry to interrupt you, Drew, but
No.
I just wanted to point that out.
But
Over the
even
last
when he's effective,
4 or 5 games,
he's a black hole of offense. There's no offense coming out of Adam Lowry.
Of late, I mean, earlier in the season, he was the
it's
shorthanded goals but look, yeah,
the
Adam
last
Lowry's
20,
he's not a 20
plus
goal
games.
scorer.
The last 20 plus games, he hasn't had a lick of offense.
No, he's
Mason
been a black hole.
There's no denying that, Drew.
Mason Appleton, and I know he's just sort of getting back into the swing of things. Even before, Mason Appleton is not an offensive driver. I mean, Mason Appleton on a good team is a fourth liner. I mean, that's just what he is. He doesn't have the chops offensively to play up in your lineup. You know, he's not a Michael Frolik who can move up and down, or a Matthew Perreault who can move up and down. Mason Appleton does not bring a lot of offense to the table.
He's limited. Exactly. He's limited offensively. And so he's not, I mean, he's a great penalty killer. There's no doubt about that.
There's
he's
a
guy
role
that,
for him on the team.
but you're right. He's not a top 6 NHL guy on any team.
No, but that's a fourth line role is the role that he's best suited for.
Well, yeah, third or fourth line. Yeah.
No, fourth line, as in, third line on an average team.
Well, with what the Jets have now, if the Jets augment through the trade deadline, then yes, ideally, I think.
But if you want to be a good
throw
team,
out a Brock Besser or a Nick Schmaltz or somebody like that, yes, then Appleton probably becomes a fourth line.
Right. If the Jets want to be an upper echelon team, if they want to be in the same breath as the upper echelon teams in this league, Morgan Barron, Adam Lowry, Mason Appleton, those guys
are your fourth line.
Those guys are your fourth line, not your third line.
How long have
your
we been
fourth
saying
line?
That, Drew? Not that we make the decision, but we've been saying that for a long time.
I would disagree with Morgan Barron. I actually thought Barron was good tonight. I think Barron is a guy.
When has he last
that can
scored?
play on your third line.
But when was the last time he scored?
No, you're right. I mean, he's struggling.
I think what you're
seeing is he's creating space for himself. And I think he has the motor and he has the hands. Like, I mean, we know that he can score. He's young. So I'm just saying, I think I wouldn't necessarily just paint the same brush with Barron and Appleton, different players.
But I think Drew's ultimate point is if you really want to be a truly deep team, then Lowry, Barron, and Appleton make one hell of a good fourth line.
Yes.
And not as good a third line.
No, they're not a third line.
Because what have we been saying again? What have we been saying for a long time? Is that this is not a league where a third line can't score. And we should go through to be honest with you, we should as an exercise, because I don't know it off the top of my head, but I'm very curious to know of the playoff teams, their third lines, the production they're getting out of their third lines, because the Jets are getting none from theirs. Yeah. They really aren't. And so the fact is that you need that. And if you don't get it, if you can't always rely on your top 6, because if your top 6 aren't producing, then you need some help, some relief somewhere. And it can't be, 1 goal every 6 games from the bottom 6. It's got to be more consistent production from that third line, especially given the fact that Lowry plays a lot of ice time, right? Obviously, a lot of that is on the PK, but yeah, I mean, there was one play where him and Morrissey drove into the zone. I think it was in the third period, and Lowry just kind of like followed in close proximity, and then Morrissey tried to put it off the wall, and Lowry was nowhere near where the puck ended up. And it just like I'm with Ezzy. I think something's just off about him the last little bit. He just doesn't look like the same player, and obviously, offensively, he hasn't been the same player.
I would agree with that. I mean, I would agree that there's something. Look, because normally he's at least more effective. The offense might never really be there, but at least he's more effective. He does seem to be battling something. I would agree that there's probably an ailment, involved there.
And there's a lot of miles, and he plays a lot of PK. Like he plays a physically demanding role. Like no cliches there, right? Like he's a guy that it's understandable at this point in the season if he's dealing with something, but the third line, look, I was going to point out the Rangers, right? Like who the Jets obviously just played. Third line, they've got top two picks on that line. Alexi Lafreniere, Capo Caco, and Philip Hedl, I believe, centers that line, right?
That's correct.
There you go. That's the Rangers third line. And we could go through, the elite teams like the Bostons and the Carolinas, right? Mm-hmm. But the Jets third line is bottom 10 in the league, Dave, to further your point, right? Like it might even be bottom 5 right now, just in terms of the offensive production and the defensive impact as well, right?
That's right.
And I think, it's unfortunate because, we've talked a lot about how the Jets have struggled with faceoffs, right? And we've talked a lot about how the Jets have struggled on the power play as of late. Well, that's not really holding them back, right? Pierre-Luc Dubois was something like 85% tonight.
Yeah, their faceoffs were good, it felt like today.
They won 60, they won 59% of the faceoffs.
So it's just funny that this game was there for the taking. It was completely theirs.
Yeah.
I mean, not that they were dominating, but what I'm saying is either team could have won this game. And, lack of goal scoring. And Nikolai Ehlers is a guy who hasn't been scoring a lot lately. So you like to see him score. I thought he was fantastic using his speed. I mean, third period, he faded a little bit. But, I mean, this team right now, it's been a 500 team for the last 20 to 25 games.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, I think the good start that they had through the first 30 or 35 games, that's worn off now, guys, right?
That good start is keeping them in a playoff spot because it's not their play as of late. I mean, the reason why they're still so comfortably in a playoff spot is twofold. One, how they started the year. So there's no question about that. I mean, and again,
and how atrocious their division is.
How atrocious their division is, and also the fact that the Calgary Flames are a huge tire fire. So, I mean, because at the beginning of the year, nobody would have thought the Calgary Flames are where they are in the standings, which is 4 points behind the Minnesota Wild. I mean, the Flames have won 26 out of 57 games this year in regulation. So the only reason the Flames are still in the race is because they have 11 overtime defeats. So, so the Flames are getting that extra loser point a fair bit this year, which is the only thing that's keeping them in the running. If Calgary wasn't, just seems like they're imploding, if they weren't imploding and, Minnesota was maybe playing a little bit better, they've won 3 in a row, mind you, the Jets would be fighting tooth and nail for their playoff lives, given the last, 500 play over the last, couple months or so.
And I just want to jump in. Matthew's comments aren't wrong.
Yeah.
Think about when the Jets were injured, what was happening? You had guys like Mikey Esimon, Axel Jonsson, Jansen Harkins. Like I know people love to say, oh, they're terrible, they're AHLers, they're tweeners, whatever. Well, I don't know. The Jets seemed to be doing a lot better when they were injured. Remember when the Jets had those miraculous 7 injuries and somehow they were still winning hockey games?
They were playing with a chip on their shoulder, Dave.
That's right.
What
they were playing with a lot more heart, Desi. There was a lot more energy. And I get that, it's a long season and this is game 58. But I'm sorry, to me, it seemed like a team that had a lot of apathy in their game today. And it was just, like I said, there's a lot of adjectives I could use, casualness and it's an unfortunate circumstance for a team that, again, you're in a playoff spot, right? You're 71 points. You're 1 point back of Dallas.
Yeah.
But again,
Dallas is playing the league by this tonight. They're playing the Blackhawks.
Oh, well, don't know the league stuff. But the fact is that you've got Colorado 4 points back, right? And I said Minnesota's rolling because they've won 3 straight, and they're 3-0-1 in their last 4 games. So, I mean, the Wild are putting points together, and so you've got to come home, and you've played 6 of the next 7. Luckily for the Jets, 6 of the next 7 will be played in Winnipeg. with the exception of that one game against the Oilers where they go to Edmonton.
All against playoff teams, so it's not an easy schedule.
Teams. Sure, but the fact is you've been very good.
They have the Sharks in there, so with the exception of that game against San Jose.
Okay, but the point is that you
mean Worcester.
Yeah,
you've got a very good chance to come home, play in front of your home fans where you've been very good, and hope that you can change your fortunes. And whether that's because there's been some sort of move made, or we're obviously Axel Jonsson-Fjällby is up on emergency recall. That's a curious decision for me to not insert him in the lineup. The guy has 3 goals, 1 assist with the Moose, and people are gonna be like, "Oh, it's the Moose," blah blah blah. Well, he's feeling good. He's scoring goals, which is something this team needs. And so, if you can put him in with his speed and inject a little bit of life into your lineup, I don't know. To me, it just seemed like this was a lifeless Jets team. And again, it's not like the Jets got the doors blown off of them in this game by the Islanders, but it was a game that it was theirs for the taking, and they didn't take it. So at that point, you start to question why things were done the way they were done.
Yeah, I would agree. Let's get into the goals. It won't take long. The Betway game recap is, of course, brought to you by our friends at Betway, the title sponsor of the Illegal Curve post-game show and one of the most trusted voices in sports betting, both in Canada and all around the world. Betway is the sports betting app that puts you, the customer, at the forefront with a large selection of betting options in sports, as well as strong promotions and fair odds. What are you waiting for? Head on over to Betway and bet your way. Must be 19 years or older to play. Please play responsibly. The Islanders opened the scoring at the 17:35 mark of the first period. We touched on this briefly when we were going through the game. It's Sebastian Aho. He gets his 5th assist to Brock Nelson, and this is just a brutal turnover by Mason Appleton. I mean, it's a 4-on-4 situation, and he gets too cute. And Mason Appleton is not a guy who should have cute in his game. No disrespect, but it's a drop pass. I think he's trying to find Nikolai Ehlers with it. He misses Ehlers.
It was Ehlers, Drew.
Yeah, puck gets transitioned back up the ice, 2-on-1 situation. Ehlers is busting his butt to get back. The initial shot is saved by Connor Hellebuck. That's the Nelson shot. And then Ehlers, is just trying to get back so much. The puck sort of bounces between his legs. He can't knock it away. And then Sebastian Aho gets it into the open net. 5th of the year for Aho. And it's 1-0 New York with 2 minutes and 25 seconds to go in the first period. Just ugly all around here.
Yeah, and what was unfortunate was, I made a note of this. Like, there was a good shift from the 4th line, Manalainen, Gagne, Stenlund.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Connor had a scoring chance before that. And yeah, I mean, the focus has to be on the turnover because, I mean, when you're at 4-on-4, you can make the argument, why is Appleton on the ice at 4-on-4? But Nikolai Ehlers just wasn't in the position to take the pass there. So you have the Jets, attacking, and then now they go back up the ice, and it's a 2-on-1. Mm-hmm. And obviously, Brock Nelson has the first shot, and it's a big rebound. Hellebuck has absolutely no chance. But, I mean, just because of the fact that you had that open space on the ice and that you had 3 guys attacking with speed, it was just a really unfortunate turnover. And, unfortunate for the Jets that they go down 1-0 because we knew that this was not going to be a high-scoring game. You got that feeling early on when I mentioned Wheeler had that scoring chance. Kyle Connor hit the post, if you remember, in the first couple minutes. You got the feeling, guys, that this was not going to be a 5-4 hockey game or anything close to that.
Well,
right?
not with these goalies. With these goalies, it's not going to be a 5-4 game.
No, as just to jump in, I mean, look, you're right. It's not a great play. I mean, they've got, first of all, the Jets have Appleton going in with Ehlers falling behind him. And then Nate Schmidt is also fairly aggressively attacking the zone, hoping to create. And of course, that left was a Brendan Dillon by himself to defend. And it was a very kind of, I don't know about you guys, how you saw it, but like when Hellebuck made the initial save, I don't know, the way he turned was really uncomfortable. Like it was
a weird rebound. Yeah,
it was a very unusual, like for Connor Hellebuck. I don't know, like I just saw the way
it was a high shot, right?
So no, I know, but just the way he turned to face the next shooter, like I don't know, it just seemed like he was slightly off. He just like almost like his foot got stuck because he made just a very uncomfortable looking switch. And of course, they found the back of the net. And look, the Jets are unlucky because the puck goes through Nikolai Ehlers' feet, and he may have been able to intercept that. But ultimately, yeah, it's not a good goal from a Jets team that isn't finding it easy, obviously, aside from that 4-1 game against the Rangers, to score goals. So I mean, you especially, and you don't want to be giving up the first goal. And sure enough, now you're having to play from behind. And again, you can make all the statements you want, but you know your position, and you know the way you've played of late, and you know that really you're desperate to come and have a good concluding game of this road trip, because from how it started in Columbus, you could, again, how many times have we talked about a Jets road trip? And I'm kind of feeling like there's that one with, was it last year with Paul Maurice, or the year before, sorry, where it was like that Florida one where they could have left a good taste, but instead they ended up like blowing all those games in Florida, remember? And they came back and it had a sour feeling. And that's
if you're
kind of
going
the
to
way.
go back to last year, then I mean,
No, 2 years, 2 years.
Pardon me, or 2 years even. I'm going to have to do some Googling, Dave.
No.
3 years. 2 years was COVID.
I don't remember.
Fine.
I don't remember
2
games in Florida, 3 months ago, let alone 2 years ago.
I'm just saying that it's one of those situations where the Jets very easily could have. What do we always talk about? The narrative, right? You win that game against the Rangers because of Connor Hellebuck. It's 4-1. Score flatters you, I think, but you took advantage of your opportunities.
It absolutely flatters you. The
No,
Rangers
I know.
could have easily had 5 goals in that game.
Oh, of course. But what I'm saying is, but Hellebuck dominated, right? And you win 4-1. If you win this game 3-1, people forget about the Columbus game. They forget about the Devils game. And all they focus on are these 2 games. And now you're coming home and you're feeling good. Probably because, remember, you're now ahead of Dallas. You're in first place in the Central
this road trip
with this win.
Dave.
I understand that, Ezzy, but what I'm suggesting is, had the Jets had an effort that would have won them this game, it changes the narrative, right? Suddenly they've won 2 straight.
It's a 500 road trip.
500 road trip. And again, they're ahead of Dallas.
Well, you know what? And it's funny you say that, because if you go back and you watch how the Jets tweet out the dressing room videos, after you go back to the New York one, that's what Rick Bowness says. Rick Bowness says in the dressing room video, he says, "Okay, guys, let's win on Wednesday, and we're 500 on the road trip." So he mentions it himself into the team, talking about how a win tonight, just changes the vibe. It makes it be okay. You're back. You are that 500 team. You've salvaged the road trip. It started poor. You found a way to salvage it. You obviously, Hellebuck steals it on Monday night. You win on Wednesday night. You're feeling good about yourself. You're coming home 500. Everyone's got their head held high. Instead, what happens is they lose a winnable game tonight. They lose, obviously, a winnable game against the Blue Jackets. And the only game that they do win is because of Connor Hellebuck being out of his mind and out of this world. So again, it's the narrative, and which is an accurate narrative in this case, is that this team continues to struggle. I mean, it just is a team that is struggling right now. And the question from my perspective is it a team that gets an influx of talent from the general manager between now and the trade deadline? I mean, does he do something legitimate? Not pick up one guy who's also another 4th liner that the Jets are going to try out as a 3rd liner, as a top 6 guy who doesn't belong. Are they going to make a number of moves to try and to affirm this team as being a legitimate contender in the Western Conference, or are they just going to more or less rearrange the deck chairs and let the chips fall where they may?
You have to bring in a significant piece, or 2 significant pieces, or preferably 3 significant pieces, right? And I know that Dave M wants that for those hits on that website, but no, I'm obviously kidding. I mean, I think 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, you could argue that the Jets needed a top 6, top 9 forward and a top 4 defenseman. Now, especially after these last 4 games on this road trip, this is clearly a team that needs to bring in some offense, right? And we've gone over the names, and based on what Elliot Friedman was saying during the intermission, it doesn't seem like the Jets are at the top of Timo Meier's list, because we know he's not a pure rental, right? Like we talked about that on Saturday morning show. If you're acquiring Timo Meier, you're having to give up significant pieces, and you're going to sign him to a long contract, right? You're not getting Timo Meier just for this year. It's just not the way that's going to work with Timo Meier. But, there's a lot of names out there. You guys know I really like Brock Besser, former UND standout. I mean, there's a bunch of forwards that we could go over. I don't think it's going to be Patrick Kane, but we know Ryan O'Reilly, Vladimir Tarasenko, Bo Horvat, they're gone. So if Chevy's going to acquire a significant piece, which I think Brock Besser is a significant piece, maybe he's not as impactful as Timo Meier, but this is a guy that I think has, shown that he can score goals in the NHL.
If he's playing on your third line, then you got a really good looking third line there. If he's playing in your top six, well, that's okay too. I mean, that's an acquiring a legitimate NHL talent who can play on any team's roster in an elevated role. That's what acquiring him would be. It's not.
And they need more guys from Minnesota, Drew. They don't have enough guys, so they need to bring in some more Minnesota guys.
And again, I just want to, before we get back to the game recap, the Betway game recap, I just want to make sure one thing is perfectly clear to everybody. Not every player in the NHL has a no trade or a no move clause. Not every single player in the league has that, Drew. Because it makes every, I see, he's not going to come here. 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 Look, Timo Meier doesn't have a no trade clause.
Oh, you're talking about Timo Meier. Yeah.
No, I'm not talking about anyone. I'm not talking about anyone specific.
But I believe Drew's reacting to the comments from the last broadcast against the Rangers, because I think, I don't remember who it was, but one of the broadcasters made a comment about how nobody
Anson
wants
Carter,
to come.
I think it was.
Anson Carter said something like 90% of people have Winnipeg on their no move clause. And it's like, well,
yes,
maybe the ones who have no move clause.
Hey, hold on a second. I remember we just had O-Dog on the show Saturday morning. Remember at the draft, we all went out for dinner and with O-Dog, and I remember we were talking to him about this. That was in 2014, Dave. So Why do people? I don't understand why people bring this up every year. We know this.
But
everybody knows this. All I'm saying is it's like, okay, thank you. A lot of guys have Winnipeg on their no move list.
That's the point that Drew is making. I'm going to finish Drew's point because he usually tries to finish mine, so I'm going to steal from him a little bit.
That wasn't regarding Drew's point, by the way, Dave. That was just
I understand
what Anson Carter said. I just find it funny that's constantly brought up year after year.
I know, but what Drew is saying to push off of that idea, is that maybe the 100 players out of the 600 in the NHL who have no move clauses have Winnipeg on, or 90% of them have Winnipeg, but that still leaves a pool of 400 or 500 players, depending on, how many are actually there, that Winnipeg can actually trade for and don't have the ability to say that. So I think that's kind of the mindset, that it's well and good that, sure, guys who have those opportunities to put Winnipeg and Ottawa and Edmonton and Buffalo on their no move clauses do. Sure. And you know what? Paul Stastny had Winnipeg on his no move, and sure enough, or no trade, and sure enough, he waived it to come to Winnipeg.
His good buddy Wheeler convinced him, right? Yeah. Look at, to go back to what Drew said, and I think we're going to continue doing the game recap here, but I think, nobody has any clue what Chevy's going to do. Elliot Friedman said that tonight on Sportsnet on the broadcast. The Jets are a hard team to predict, so it might be a guy that we haven't talked about, but I think most people would be shocked if Chevy doesn't do something significant. Maybe not, maybe I'm wrong, but I do think that, especially, with the way this road trip has gone and the Jets' lack of goal scoring, I think you have to make a move before the March 3rd trade deadline. And preferably, I think you make 2 or 3 moves.
Look, if he does nothing, then you're basically, then he's deflating the balloon for the rest of the season. Not to say that the Jets still won't necessarily be a playoff team, but if he does nothing between now and the trade deadline, it's a vote of no confidence towards this team and what they've accomplished so far. I mean, you can't look at this team and say, yeah, we can stand pat, we're going to be fine come playoff time. You look at this team, if you stand pat, maybe they win a round, but that would be the ceiling at the absolute most. So, I mean, and again, the no move clause, the no trade clause thing, which we've hammered to death just now, and we don't need to do it again, is not every player in the league. It's a cop out if that's your fallback response, or if that's your excuse making for why sometimes nothing happens. Not every player can fall into that category. Okay, moving on. Betway game recap. Second period, the Jets strike on the power
Betway
play.
Game segue, for God's sakes.
Yeah, sorry. The Jets strike on the power play with Casey Zizekas in the box. It's Nikolai Ehlers, his 5th of the season on the power play. Assist to Morrissey and Kyle Connor. Not only does this tie the game up at 1, this is also our Seagram's shot of the game. Seagram's 83, Manitoba's #1 whiskey, available at all of your best liquor retailers in this province and wherever you may be watching us from. Big thanks to Seagram's for their sponsorship of the Illegal Curve post-game show. show. It's a beautiful shot by Nikolai Ehlers. I mean, when when he can fire it, and he's been struggling as of late. What was this? 11 games without a goal is I think what they said.
10 or 11.
Yeah. He's been struggling, but when he can fire it and when he gets it, he can fire it like pretty damn good. And this one was one of those ones, tying the game at 1 at the 4:30 mark of the second period. Sorry.
Yeah, and you mentioned the shot, and it's a beautiful shot. And what I like is it was on this particular case, in this particular goal, he gets greedy, and that's what I like about the goal. And we've talked a lot about Ehlers needs to be getting more power play time on that first power play unit. And what I like is it's a mismatch there. Otto Kovula is the guy that he moves around, who's out there on the
a household name if there ever was.
Well, I think that's only his second or third career NHL game, if I'm not mistaken, Drew. But I mean that unit was out there.
His name is Otto. Do you think he likes to get blotto?
I don't know, but
exactly.
Islanders fans were pissed when he took that penalty with 8 minutes to go in the third period. They're like, why is he? I saw a bunch of Islanders being like, why is he out there right now? So clearly they weren't happy with his play.
And
anyways, go on.
I just thought he was passive, and Ehlers kind of just, used him as a decoy and kind of just went past him. And, there's not much more to it than that. And I thought, like, not only did they have the right personnel that I think that most people want to see out there, we talked about it, right? Ehlers, Connor, Scheifele, Dubois, Morrissey. Those are your 5 best options on the power play. Like, yes, they have other players, Wheeler, Pionk. I mean, there's other guys that you can use, Perfetti when he's in the lineup, but I think we would agree. Yeah, I mean, this is the dream team. If you were to put together the Jets power play dream team with the players they currently have, that's it. So I thought the power play was good tonight. Unfortunately, they couldn't convert their other 3 chances. But what I liked about this is that, Ehlers just decides, Dave, I'm going to shoot this puck. And Drew's right. He does have an underrated good shot. I mean, Kyle Connor and Pierre-Luc Dubois, some others, they steal Morrissey this year. They kind of steal the shot thunder. But that's what I liked about this power play goal is that Ehlers decided, I'm going to be greedy and do it myself here.
Well, I mean, Ezzy, because one of the biggest problems that this team has, and I've seen the comment from everybody, is how much overpassing has this team done?
Tons.
It's incredible to watch this team just pass.
And missing the net, as you've talked about a lot too. They missed the net 10 times tonight on the power play.
No, I know. I mean, that's unbelievable, but it's just too much passing. So you're right. When you actually see, like, every one of these guys has a lethal shot. Nikolai Ehlers, lethal shot. Kyle Connor, lethal shot. Mark Scheifele, lethal shot. Pierre-Luc Dubois, more of a heavy shot than a lethal shot, but he's still got a pretty good one. And so
you take Josh that shot, there's going to be a rebound. You're not smothering that one clean.
That's right. So the point is that these guys all have very good shots, and they're waiting for the perfect moment. And it's like, guys, you know what? And again, like I said, I said this towards not in that one, but like, how many times do we see guys not block the front, take away Sorokin's eyes? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what are they doing? Like on the third period, you're trying to tie the game, and you're not taking away his eyes. I mean, it's been a consistent problem from this Jets team. You cannot have Again, you cannot have 4 or 5 of the same type of player on the power play if nobody's going to go to the front of the net. Like, I saw Pierre-Luc Dubois high. I'm like, no, Pierre-Luc Dubois can't be beside Josh Morrissey at the blue line. He's got to be in front of the net. I mean, it makes no sense to not be using his size to take away. And when you do, that's when you score goals. And when you don't, that's when you
saw
don't.
It yesterday.
Like, exactly.
So
or 2 days ago.
It's not like you're talking about 5 years ago and some archaic power play. Like, we're just talking about last game, and people hate to hear it, but sometimes simple is better. And the power play has been better, but it could have been better tonight. And in this particular case, that's what you like to see. Like, and I think this should put the argument to bed that Ehlers should be on the first power play unit. Like, yes. unless something goes horribly wrong, he should be there for the rest of the season going forward.
And I was just going to say, because we didn't mention it, milestone game for him and Mark Scheifele, 500th game for Nikolai Ehlers, 700th for Mark Scheifele. So, obviously something they'd be more inclined to celebrate had the team, of course, won. So less likely to be excited about playing game number 500 for the 2014 first rounder that we talked to back in Philadelphia, which was like 1,000 years ago. I mean, it's crazy to think.
That was as he referenced going out for dinner with O-Dog. That was draft in Philly.
That's what I'm saying. So it's crazy to think it's almost 9 years ago.
Kenny also, I believe, spilled wine on Dave's shirt that night.
My brand new shirt, the very shirt I'm actually wearing it. I'm wearing it under this hoodie. The time one day Weaver will be in front. By the way, the best was, I don't know if you guys saw, but Friedman was doing was it Merrick's show? He was doing Merrick's show, and I was listening, and not that he says anything of insightfulness, but anyways, he made the best. He goes,
GMs are having conversations.
yeah, but the best was he goes, Ken Weeby.
He didn't actually call him Ken Weeby.
He called him Weeby, and then he quickly amended it to
I think
Weeb.
it was a joke.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It didn't feel like a joke, but anyways, come on, just call him Weber. Just call him Weber. It's impossible to get it wrong when you call him Weber. But Ken Weeby is another name that he may be called. But anywho,
he might be called Ken Weeby on this show moving forward.
Yes.
Yeah. In any event, okay. So it's 1-1 after 40 minutes. The Jets played a very good second period.
Yeah, and they were dominant.
Yeah.
They outshot him 12-4, controlled the play.
Yeah.
And look, if it wasn't for Sorokin, very easily could have been a Jets lead after 40 minutes.
There's no question about it. I mean, the high danger shots were 5-1 in the second period. The Jets possessed 80% of the puck in the second period. So the Jets had a very good second period, but it was still tied at 1. So the third period begins, and as we talked about, look, the Jets had a number of opportunities on the power play. They had a couple of power play opportunities in that third period. So did the Islanders, for the record. Neither team can score on either of the power plays, but the Islanders score 5-on-5, something that the Jets just weren't able to do on 2 of the 4 games on this road trip. The Jets didn't score a 5-on-5 goal against the Blue Jackets last Thursday and against the Islanders tonight. No goals at 5-on-5. Not a great chance of winning the game. And then Simon Holmstrom, his 4th of the season, assist to Bo Horvat and Matt Martin at the 9:57 mark of the third period, proves to be the game-winning goal. And it's a turnover. It's a turnover, and it's loose play in the Jets' own zone, something that has absolutely been the story of the road trip. Just too soft, just too casual, just not winning any sort of puck battles. This one is Kevin Stenlund loses the initial puck battle along the boards, and then eventually the puck comes out to Holmstrom, and he makes no mistake with his shot, beating Connor Hellebuyck and giving the Islanders ultimately the 2-1 victory.
Yeah, it was the just how soft they were in their own zone, right? Like I think it was DeMello, right? He was the defenseman that pushed it up. So there were it seemed like they were the entire both teams, all the guys on the ice were in the corner at once. But yeah, it's just, Stenlund, it goes in his skates or whatever, and it's turned over. But what bothered me even more than that turnover was that, the first shot, Matt Martin puts the first shot on net. And then it's just much too easy for Simon Holmstrom to jump on that rebound.
Right.
That's what bothered me the most about that goal. Like, yeah, it's a turnover, but it's not like an odd man situation or anything like that. So I just thought it was overall poor defending, Dave, by the Jets. And, we talked about it. Simon Holmstrom's one of those guys, this is his first full year in the NHL. He's played the last few years in the AHL for Bridgeport. So there's some guys in the lineup that are hungry. And if you remember, Holmstrom drew a penalty on Wheeler earlier. I forget if it was high sticking or interference or whatever it was. So like Holmstrom was noticeable out there. I'm not sure if he's related to number 96 Thomas Holmstrom, but Holmstrom I think is a pretty common last name in Sweden. But I was joking. But
like Ginsburg and Flin-Flon.
Yeah, exactly. Tons of Ginsburgs and Flin-Flon. Although we are all jokes aside, we're the only URG Ginsburgs in Winnipeg. So if there's a Ginsburg that spells their name URG, they're related to me. There's not a lot, so it's probably my dad or sister. I guess Naomi. But yeah, I mean, look at 10 minutes. 10 minutes left.
What was she thinking? Boy, that's a topic of conversation for another day and time. I don't think we
booze. Tons of booze, Drew. You were at our wedding.
I know. No, it's one thing. It's one thing to marry you. It's another thing to take your name, dear Lord.
Yeah, she likes her last name too. But yeah, it was bad defending. Period. And it's a bad turnover. Both goals, and it's actually similar to the game against the Rangers, right? How many times did we say opportunistic after the Rangers game? The Rangers put up 51 shots. The Jets had 3 goals on their first 10 or 11 shots, right? So it's the same thing. There was no margin for error. Drew's right. You can't have this lack of offensive production at 5-on-5. And really, there's a lot on those 2 lines, but it's almost like, since Cole Perfetti's been out of the lineup, the entire top 6 is in disarray, Dave. And that's a credit to Cole Perfetti. I think, people have criticized, he's not, necessarily where his game needs to be. He's getting pushed off the puck, everything like that. I disagree. Maybe I'm, higher on Perfetti's game than others, but they're just not getting enough goals, period. Are they generating offensive chances? Yes, but they're not getting the finish.
They're yeah.
Well, no, I mean, no, I was going to say, but the problem is, look, it's just Kyle Connor gives Stenlund the pass in a tough spot. He's got 3 guys on.
Sorry, I thought it was DeMello.
No, I thought, well, maybe
You're right.
I'm
I'm
wrong.
saying you're right. I thought it was.
Oh, I was
DeMello,
right.
but
Okay.
you're right.
Okay. Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, so he puts it there and then he just stands. He does, I mean, look, Kyle Connor, for all of his offensive abilities, he just drifts and he just drifts casually towards the blue line, watching kind of the chaos he's created. And the Islanders, take advantage of it. And it's funny because just moments before that transpired, I had said, this looks like 2 teams that are willing to get to overtime, because it did. It really did look like 2 teams who were perfectly content to get to overtime and earn themselves a point. And yet, of course, what we always talk about, teams are opportunistic. When you get that chance and you can take advantage of it, that's what you do. And that's what the Islanders did. And look, and we've talked about it. They're desperate for the points, right? They're feeling good about themselves. They beat the Penguins. The Capitals are in disarray right now. Yeah. So the Islanders feel like, and especially
John Carlson hasn't played since he took that puck in the head against the Jets.
Right.
Remember that? I don't remember who the shot was from. I want to say it was Brendan Dillon.
That was before Christmas, or that was before. That was the last game before Christmas.
John Carlson's a guy. That's the same thing as taking Morrissey out of this Jets lineup. That's how impactful Carlson is for the Caps. So you're right, Dave. The Caps are in trouble.
Yeah, and so the Islanders feel like, hey, look, they can still do something. And it's funny because on the broadcast today, I think it was who was it? Was it Jen Botterill who said maybe the Islanders will go after Timo Meier and make that move, or maybe it was Sam Constantino. I'm not sure who, but one of them had suggested that maybe that'll be Lou Lamoriello's play to try to make an ad for a push, because maybe they feel like with Sorokin and net they can do some damage, and they've got, as he says, some pretty good defense. Look, ultimately, this is that's a tough play because, again, we've talked about it. Your margin for error is very low when your team isn't performing, and so the
mistake. Attention to detail, Dave. Say it. Drew's thinking it. He's thinking it.
That's a Mindyism. So I'm going to leave that one. That I do sometimes reference attention to detail, but not when it's pushed down my throat like that is. So I'm not going to. Okay, fine. The Jets' attention to detail on that goal against wasn't what it needed to be, and as a result, they found themselves chasing, and then. The part, and it's how we open the show, and I'm going to reiterate the point because I think it's important to restate. It's look, Ezzy, how many times have we watched a game where the Jets are down by a goal and we're like, well, the Jets are coming back and winning this game, but
you didn't get that feeling tonight.
No, you didn't have that feeling tonight, and you're watching the way they're playing, and you're watching the casualness, and you're watching like it was like a hot potato. It was like there was a grenade. The puck was a grenade on their stick in the neutral zone and in their zone, and again, what was it? At least 3, but I'm thinking it was closer to 5 turnovers in the third period.
Well, that's the before the DeMello penalty, the sequence of about a minute where they just couldn't get it out of their own zone.
But I'm saying that they lost the puck. They probably turned it over at least 3 to 5 times. It was just it was soft. Soft is a good word, and that's what they were. And they didn't play with the urgency. It's like, guys, you're down by a goal. You need to tie it. And if you get to overtime, what have you shown all year? You get to overtime, you're probably winning the game, right? 7 wins out of 8 in overtime this year. So, I mean, the likelihood, it's not impossible. The way they played it was certainly impossible. The way they played that final minute, I mean, think about how many opportunities they had, guys. I mean, they had icings. Sure, the DeMello penalty was unfortunate, but they had, 2 or 3 icings that they could have taken advantage of, and they didn't. And so as a result, you're sitting there going, now you're going home having lost 3 out of the 4 on the road and not feeling very good about your game right now.
2-1 final. The Islanders defeat the Winnipeg Jets. This has been the Betway game recap, brought to you, of course, by Betway. It's simple, fun, and safe to bet with Betway. So head on over to Betway and bet your way. Must be 19 years or older to play. Please play responsibly. When we come back, more on tonight's Jets defeat. We'll do some contests. We'll do some shenanigans. And, of course, we have outtakes. So stay with us.
Something will make you laugh.
Yeah, the outtakes at least are worth the price of admission. Your price of admission continues to be
something like
$0.00, but smashing the like button, that's what we charge you to do, is smash the like button. There you go. Much more to come. It's the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mandel, Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg with you on a Wednesday night.
Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, Jon Stewart, Dennis Miller, Brad Garrett, the biggest acts and all the up-and-comers. They've all made their mark at Rumors Comedy Club, North America's longest-running independent comedy club. Rumors has kept Winnipeg laughing for over 25 years. When was the last time you laughed out loud? Make it a great night out with friends or book your office or birthday party, even a fundraising event at Rumors. Get all the details and dates on upcoming shows at rumorscomedyclub.com.
He winds up. Oh, looks like Ezzy took that one right in the choppers.
A blistering fast puck hurts like HE double hockey sticks. That's why I let the pros at Linden Market Dental Center turn my yow into
wow.
Get your brilliant smile back with state-of-the-art restorative and cosmetic dentistry from real pros.
And remember, always wear a mouth guard.
Now that's solid on ice advice. Learn more at lindenmarketdentalcenter.com. Creating smiles for life.
Whoa, Ezzy, everything okay? You look stressed.
Of course I'm stressed. We're moving, the house is upside down, the kids failed miserably at packing the fine china, and my life is in chaos. Chaos!
Yes, that does sound like a problem.
What am I going to do?
Ezzy, relax. Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage is the answer. With 60 years of experience in moving Manitobans and a track record of exemplary customer service, one call to Rolly's and your stress is gone. No job is too big or too small. Just visit Rollies.com and they will take it from there.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you, Rollies Transfer Moving and Storage, online at Rollies.com.
Dave, my man, why are you in the car already? It's hours until game time.
Drew, it's because I'm stressed out right now, driving around downtown Winnipeg, looking for a parking spot, and I'm not finding one. I've lost Ginsburg. I don't even know where that guy is right now.
Dave, haven't I taught you anything? Do what I do. Pre-book your entire month's worth of game day parking with the Grid Park app. It's super easy to use and saves me both time and stress.
Well, Drew, I'm not independently wealthy like you are. So I'm sorry that I don't have millions of dollars to pre-book my parking month in advance. What's that going to cost you? $25?
How about $5?
Come on, $5? No way.
$5. I'm not telling you a lie. And our listeners can get a free park with the new special promo code Illegal Curve. Guess what? There's more.
Come on, there's more, Drew. You're lying to me. What more could there be?
Grid Park now has underground parking, so my car can stay warm during the game.
So wait a second. All the driving around I do, looking for parking, minus 40, you're telling me I could be toasty warm in a car after the hockey game?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. Underground parking. Just download the Grid Park app. That's GRYD Park and use the code Illegal Curve. All one word. You'll park for free your first time.
Hi, it's Drew from Illegal Curve here. Selling your home can be stressful, but it wasn't for me. Thanks to my friends at Zappia Group Realty, they made the process so easy. My home sold within 48 hours and with multiple offers. Zappia Group Realty took care of everything with their exquisite customer service and attention to detail. If you want to sell your home for more in less time, get started by talking to Frank and Mauro Zappia of Zappia Group Realty. Online at zappiagroup.com.
For 3 generations and over 80 years, Tough Duck has been making apparel that works and plays as hard as the people who wear it. From jackets to work boots and everything in between, Tough Duck's clothing can handle the harshest environments, even the Illegal Curve hockey show. Work to live, live to play. Visit toughduck.com. We're back Wednesday evening. We're live. It's the Illegal Curve postgame show. Drew Mandel, Dave Minuk, Ezra Ginsburg with you, talking about the Jets' defeat at the hands of the New York Islanders. 2-1. They finished the road trip with a disappointing record of 1-3. They come home. They face the Colorado Avalanche on Friday. They face the same New York Islanders on Sunday. And then I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's the LA Kings on Tuesday before the home and home with the Edmonton Oilers on Friday and Saturday of next week. You guys will correct me if I'm wrong at any point there.
No, you've got it right. And the game on Sunday is an afternoon game at 2, I believe.
That is also correct. Yes, that is true.
Isn't it like 2:30 or something like that?
2:30, yeah. It's sort of that weird half-hour start time.
Yeah.
I don't know why quite 2:30, but yes, it is 2:30 on Sunday afternoon is when the Jets and the Islanders rematch will take place in downtown Winnipeg.
Can I give a shout out to my boy Zach Parise right now? Like, I don't know if a lot of people,
I didn't know he was your boy.
Well, no, he's one of my favorite players of all time. 38 years old, still looking pretty good out there.
Yeah. He certainly is. He's still effective. When you get to that point in time, you become a wily veteran who knows how to just get his way around the ice and move his way around the ice.
Absolutely.
Not as fast as he once was, but
he's not the same 90-point guy. Yeah, and I love the fact that, It's a former Devil, Lou Lamoriello, right? You've got Kyle Palmieri. We know that, Lou likes to have those former Devils around.
It's true. He does. Anybody get Bruce Springsteen tickets today? Either of you boys? I know you did,
No.
Dave.
I didn't even know. I didn't know they went on sale.
Don't you remember when we went to Minneapolis?
I was going to say, yeah, you went to the mall by yourself.
Instead of going to the Bruce Springsteen concert.
How good was that concert, Drew?
I went to the Mall of America.
Oh, man, Bruce, there's nobody like Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah. Well, I know Dave went to the mall by himself, and the rest of us went to a concert.
Huge mistake, Dave.
Yeah.
No, please. I played mini golf.
Hustler and Lawless were at that concert, too.
I don't care who was
Gary.
at that
Gary was crowd surfing.
I didn't care. I didn't care that Bruce Springsteen was at that concert because I chose to go somewhere else.
Dave, fiercely anti-social.
Okay, so obviously, Drew, you got tickets, though, right?
I did get some tickets today.
How much did that run?
I was one of the lucky few to get selected. So I
$2,500.
By the way, did anybody hear Mikey? No. Did anybody hear Mikey Dubs on Easy? What's it called? Easy Street Radio or something like that?
East Street Radio.
East Street Radio. Sorry. Apparently, Mikey Dubs called in.
Like our friend Mike.
Yeah.
I did not hear that. But
well, shout out to Mikey Dubs because I believe he has a family member that was in Lenny Kravitz's band.
No, it's his uncle. Is in Lenny Kravitz's. His uncle's the guitarist in Lenny Kravitz's band.
That's what I said.
Yeah,
he did say that.
I confirmed.
Oh, okay.
I know, but you said family. I just said it was his uncle.
Okay, we're all good.
Whoa, Spencer's side. Whoa, Ezzy, if you didn't get tickets, Spencer's girlfriend got 4 tickets. Now Spencer's 1, his girlfriend's 2. You and Nao could be 3 and 4.
Seriously, though, weren't the tickets ridiculously expensive?
No,
I mean you can afford it, Drew. You're a millionaire, but
it's true.
I'm a working man.
I know you are a working man. I got the tickets were not. I mean,
Jason Eastwood's going to the game.
Yeah, there were tickets that were expensive, of course. If you wanted to be on the floor,
does behind the stage mean what I think it means? Like you're seeing the backs of.
Yes.
Why do they even sell those tickets?
Because people will buy them.
Yeah,
else do you
such as
Jason.
No, I'm not criticizing Jason. I just didn't know that you could do that. I'm assuming the floor tickets were like $700 or something.
The floor tickets were very expensive, as you would expect.
I'll be in the press. I'll be in the press box watching from above.
Dave's here for the Moose game. What the hell?
We'll be in the IC luxury box.
Yeah.
Robert Starr is saying it was $650 as for floor tickets.
Yes, I did
not.
Get
$650.
I did not get floor tickets.
I'm doing well.
No, I mean as
more
much
importantly,
as
did Richie get tickets? Did Papa Richie get tickets?
For sure.
Yeah.
I'm assuming Bruce just gave him, like the first 2 tickets that were available, right? Like on the floor.
Look what Kenny's water bottle's saying here.
Whoa!
That he was at that concert in St. Paul all those years ago. That was that was 2012, wasn't it?
Oh, we met Kenny's water bottle.
I don't remember, but if he says that he met us, then
he didn't meet me.
Drew? I feel like that was like
at the Mall of America,
2015 or something.
That was 2012.
It felt like it was at least 10 years.
That was
ago.
11 years ago.
I think so. I think it was 2012.
Dear Lord, Drew, we've got old.
Oh, I know. Because I'm pretty sure that was if I'm not mistaken, I think that was the Wrecking Ball tour, and the Wrecking Ball tour I think was 2012.
Right.
Yeah. Anyways, good luck. Congratulations.
Hannah Montana was wrecking or whatever. Miley Cyrus wasn't she Wrecking Ball?
No, Wrecking Ball was the name of one of Bruce's albums. Miley Cyrus had a song called Wrecking Ball, but Bruce had an album by the same name. Right. Yes. Yeah. It's a very good song, by the way. Yes. Both Bruce's and Miley Cyrus.
All I'm going to say is I did not get tickets. I'm assuming it's sold out, so maybe Spency will hook me up here. But as far as a live concert, because he always play for like 3 hours, and I mentioned Richie, he's the biggest Springsteen fan there is out there.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter. Like it's just I can't even describe it if you haven't seen Bruce Springsteen in the E Street Band before. It's just something that you'll never forget. Like it's just hit after hit after hit.
By the way, I'm with Blue Thunder. I'm going to Taylor Swift over Bruce any day of the week.
Well, when I'm in Vegas, T Swift is playing in Vegas when I'm there in March. I don't have tickets for her because I don't have $4,000 million.
Oh, those tickets are insane. I think someone was like, the guys were joking like, hey, maybe we should go see Adele for like $9,000. I mean, we were kidding, obviously, but like $9,000. I mean, it's insane how
You're
much
rolling in the deep, Dave.
I wouldn't be rolling in anything.
He's not rolling in the dough, though. That's the problem. He might be rolling in the deep, but he'd be rolling in the deep debt.
And it's funny. Taylor Swift actually was just telling her friends that when she's in Vegas, Drew's going to be there.
I'm sure she was saying the same thing. I mean, again, the thing about even if you don't like some of these artists' music, like I mean, I can take it or leave it when it comes to Taylor Swift and her music. You know that the performance, just the spectacle, is probably worth the price of admission.
Well, it's kind of like the Illegal Curve Hockey Show.
Exactly. Again, the price of admission, $0, completely worth it for all you people as long as you smash the like button, is exactly how that works. What do you want to do first? Do you want to do outtakes or do you want to do contest stuff?
Let's do Tough Duck because I've
Yeah,
got a
let's
queued up
do
here.
contest. Do the
Okay.
contest.
Yeah.
Tough Duck, hardest hitting comment as who's getting it tonight.
We're going to give it to Partisan Paul. We see Partisan Paul often on both the Saturday show and the post-game show. So you've got it up there. Jets overpassing, we just talked about that, has been an obvious problem that Rick Bowness has tried to address from day one of training camp. More than 50 games later, no success. Maybe need different players. And you know what? I thought that was appropriate because we were talking about the overpassing. The Jets were definitely not shooting the puck enough. And I think just overall, I think everyone is expecting Chevy to acquire at least one, maybe two top 9 forwards before the March 3rd trade deadline. So Partisan Paul, you have won the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment. Send me an email, ezra@legalcurve.com, or slide into my DMs, and Tough Duck will ship out a toque to you.
There you go. Congratulations to Partisan Paul for winning tonight's Tough Duck hardest hitting comment. Illegal Curve merchandise contest, Mr. Manouk. We have a winner there as well. Of course, if you don't know how to enter the merchandise contest, you go to the drop down arrow on the YouTube channel. You go to our website, illegalcurve.com. You'll see the link to the contest page. You click that link. There's a whole list of things that you can do to earn entries into the contest. One of those things is entering the unique code word that you can only get by watching this Illegal Curve post-game show or catching it on the podcast edition. Tonight's unique code for 10 bonus entries is, Dave, explain it.
Well, what do you think it means? 2,662 kilometers. KMS specifically for those listening on the podcast.
I'm about to start seeing
2662 KMS for those who are listening on the podcast.
I'm about to start singing the Proclaimers, walk 1,000 miles or whatever the hell the damn song is.
Where if you were walking 2,662 kilometers, not miles, we're Canadian, where would you be walking?
Well, I think Dave's computer just sort of froze up a bit there, but
would I
be walking from Winnipeg to New York? I don't know. Where would I be walking?
From Canada Life to UBS Arena.
Well, there you go. Dave M went deep into the I don't even know.
I have to trick Frosty. I got to figure this out. And Alan, these guys are always trying to guess. So
True, Dave went deep into the Fitbit is what he did there.
Where there you go. So that is, why don't you say it one more time, Dave M, for
2662 KMS. That's
there
right.
You go. That is the unique.
Why not just KM, Dave? Because kilometers, you don't have to have an S at the end.
I like the S. Plural.
Fair enough. That's more than reasonable. You're
good
entitled
unit
to use
of
that
measurement.
So there you go. That is the unique code word for tonight. 2662. The number KMS is what you need to enter to get.
Drew, what are your thoughts on the metric system?
I don't really have many thoughts on the metric system right now, but ask me back maybe later on today or tomorrow, and I'll see if I come up with any thoughts about that.
Yeah, Ezzy, the S is for Spency.
The S is for Spency. That's very nice of you. I was
messaging with Spency because I was with the fam at Festival on Saturday. I know Drew was there a little bit later. We coordinated that because we never want to see each other in public, even though we saw each other at Rumors on Saturday night. But Spency was there later. But shout out to Festival de Voyageur. Man, was Saturday a nice day, because the next day it was like 30 degrees colder. So if you have a chance, I believe Festival is still going on this coming weekend, so go check it out if you have a chance.
I think it ends on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. But yes, if you're looking for something to do and you don't mind a little bit of the chilly weather, then that would be certainly a fine way about going about it.
And I apologize, there's no more mini donuts left. I ate 9 buckets when I was there. Those are the last 9 buckets, so there's
Sir, please leave the fryer. We need the fryer, sir.
As Spencer says, you got a date. Saturday Night Festival, Sugar Shack, no wives, no kids. Let's go. By the way, Turd, I saw your complaint. I posted it. I highlighted it on the chat. Don't worry. I will make the next one guessable so you can get back into it. I'm not trying to make it unguessable. You have to still guess, but I'll make it a little bit less obscure, esoteric, if you will.
Fair enough. Very generous of you. The winner of the merchandise contest for tonight's game, Dave Salins.
Yes.
Dave, congratulations. You won some great Winnipeg Jets merchandise. Not you, Dave. Dave Salins.
Dave S.
Yeah, Dave S., not Dave M.
Gotcha.
You're the winner, so we will be in touch to arrange for you to get your great merchandise. Stay tuned for Friday night's game against Colorado. 9:45 will be the time when the post-game show starts for your next opportunity to win in the Illegal Curve merchandise contest. Dave M., do you have it queued up? Are you ready to rock?
I thought I mean, you can do it just as easy as I could, but sure.
I could, but I mean, you're the one who went to all the effort. You get all the glory.
If people think it was funny. Okay. Without further ado, adieu. Here is part 2 of the Illegal Curve outtakes of the Grid Park commercials, the 2022-23 version. Enjoy.
Why are you in the car already? It's hours until game time.
Drew, I'm driving around downtown.
Hang on. Start again. I don't think it went live. I don't think it went.
Like you weren't recording yet.
Yeah, I don't think it had started recording.
Okay, all good.
Okay, ready?
Yep. I mean, Drew, we're gonna have all sorts of time. This is gonna be incredible. We may have to start a pregame show because of all this free time that Illegal Curve is gonna have.
Thank you, Grid Park, for saving us time and stress.
That was okay. Wasn't great. I felt like it was good, but it wasn't great.
There were elements. There were elements of it being sort of rough around the edges, admittedly.
Yeah, let's do it. I feel like if we do it one more time, because I'm stressed out right now, driving around downtown Winnipeg, looking for a parking spot so I can go to the game like all these other schmucks in Winnipeg. No, let's not do that. Start again. Sorry. I don't think schmucks is appropriate. Calling ourselves schmucks, one thing. Calling other people schmucks, not so appropriate. So, Drew, not only are you telling me that we're going to have an opportunity to have stress-free parking, we might have all this free time to have an Illegal Curve pregame show.
That's what I'm saying. Thank you, Grid Park, for saving us time and stress.
Well, that, my friend, was a fucking masterpiece.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
That was really fucking good.
Yeah.
And the best part is you and I are like so fucking full of ourselves right now. We're like, oh, that was amazing. We're so good. And then we're going to watch it. We're like, oh, this is terrible.
It's just awful shit.
Like what is wrong with us?
Yeah. So apologies for the cursing, but nonetheless,
a little bit blue. A little blue.
I still regret not being part of that commercial.
We gave ourselves all of the awards that can go to the commercial, that go to whatever the equivalent of the Oscars are for commercials. We gave it to ourselves there, no matter what anyone else thought. But
I feel like this is when I was a grade 6 student and I was kicked off of the patrols, and everybody used to go to Saints Roller Rink and talk about how good Saints Roller Rink was every week. And now I still
hang on.
Yeah, I was kicked off the patrols.
Why were you kicked off the patrols?
Probably I was mouthing off to someone. You know me, Drew. Like I've got a motor mouth, so I probably said something to somebody, a teacher or something like that, and they kicked me off the patrols.
So
hold on. Beep,
a volunteer
beep,
position, basically.
Drew, beep, beep. If we're doing truth time, I too was kicked out of patrols. Now, I was kicked out because coincidentally, as in grade 6, abuse of power. I was drunk with power as a bus patrol. # no big deal. I just wanted to be.
Oh, you're fancy.
I was, but I wasn't kicked out of it entirely. What they did was they kicked me down from bus patrol to kindergarten patrol, which at the time felt
that's so degrading.
So degrading.
Yeah.
So degrading. But what they didn't realize is they were dealing with the devious mind of Dave Manouk, which even in grade 6, I was ready for that. I was ready to adjust. I was ready to handle it. Of course, I went to Centennial School. Folks who grew up in West Kildonan know that. Yeah. So although it's now been leveled because of all the asbestos, # no big deal. But in grade 6, so what they did is I had to walk Main Street and Kingsbury to Leela, and I'd walk this kid. I usually left the kid walking, the last 3 blocks by themselves. I was like, hey, you're good enough, whatever. And then I'd go to Windsor Foods. And see, this is where they weren't planning on dealing with what I was going to put up, what I was going to do. I'd go into Windsor Foods. I'd buy candy. I'd buy gum. I'd come back to school. I was a hero. I was handing out gum. I'm handing out chocolate bars. It was fantastic. I was running a little bit of a black market sales thing, Ezzy. It was great. I never
knew that we shared that in common.
We do.
And
that's what I feel like excluded.
I would argue that I'm smarter than both of you because volunteers don't get paid. So you two guys were volunteers, where I just went home after school and did whatever the hell I wanted.
I did it during lunch. That was the beauty of it.
Well, that's not true though. You got a pin at the end of the year.
Well, no, you didn't. You got kicked off.
I got kicked off. Yeah.
And Drew, for the record, because I was good on the bus, generally speaking, because of that, my bus driver, shout out Glenn Salter, used to let me ride the bus, even when I was way too old to ride the bus, coming home from Jefferson School or Garden City. Well, maybe not Garden City because that was high school, but maybe in Jefferson. Let me get on the bus.
So you used to take the bus home,
yeah,
illegally.
That's right.
With elementary school children.
Well, it wasn't like I was like 40, Drew. I was like grade 7, for God's sakes.
Have you seen Glenn Salter recently, Dave? What's he up to?
I love. First of all, maybe I'm the jerk because I never knew any of my bus drivers' last
You are
names.
well. First of all, not maybe.
I never had any bus drivers. I walked around on the mean streets of River Heights.
You are a
guys with
jerk.
your fancy buses.
And for the record, that's the reason why when I go to the MTS and I see the security guards, I say hi, Kathy. Hi, Don. When I see Perry, I say hi. I know people's first names.
I know their names. I say hi to them too.
Well, bus driver is the same.
I mean, I knew my bus driver's first name. I was always very polite.
Well, maybe he picked me up on Salter
What was your
Street.
bus driver's first name, Drew?
Well, I mean, I
need to make it up. He's making it up.
No, I had different bus drivers at different years. There was Bud, there was Dawn, there was Jamie. I still remember their names.
Nice.
It sounds made up.
I agree, Dave. That did sound made up.
I swear it was not made up. You can fact check this with anyone that you want to fact check it with. But I can promise you, I knew their first names, but I did not know their last names. Which I guess when you're grade 7.
Siri, what were Drew Mandell's bus drivers' names?
In any event, I think we're done for tonight. You people,
is anybody watching?
Yeah, they are. That's the
God
thing.
bless everybody who's watching right now, because I have no idea what we just talked about for the last 10 minutes. We were talking about bus drivers and patrols and just utter nonsense. I love it.
Well, once we do outtakes, Ezzy, that's when it just goes to goes to madness. So
it certainly does go to madness. We're next in action on Friday night, 9:45, after the Jets and the Colorado Avalanche. So please join us back here.
I see we'll be at that game. Dave M and I are going. We'll be there.
And by the way, Darwin wants to know why we're not talking trades. Darwin, we're not talking trades because Jets haven't made a trade.
Yeah,
and it's not. We're not really in the business of suggesting trades because
the
reality is
we're in the bus business now.
No, but I mean the fact is we will, of course, on Saturday's show. You can stay tuned for that.
Yes,
9:00 sharp. We'll be discussing. With what would that put us a week away or just over
6
a week
days
away? 6 days away, less than a week, right? Because
yeah,
it's Friday.
It's a week on Friday.
Yeah, so just remember that we'll be having plenty to talk about on Saturday. Of course, tomorrow is a Moose game. I don't need to do a Moose minute because I did one.
Friday.
The Ice, I know. The Ice played though. We will mention that the Ice won their 8th straight game today. They played a matinee,
right?
Yeah, they played a noon start against Calgary, the Hitmen, and so they won today. I think 5-2 was the final. Their winning percentage is insane. Like I think it's like 858 or something like that. They're 45. I don't remember what I tweeted the record. It's insane. They're 13 points up on Saskatoon and Red Deer, who they play tomorrow night. So they're back in action against the Rebels tomorrow night. The Moose take on the Admirals. That should be a real good game. We don't know. Obviously, Axel Janssen-Fjällby got recalled up to the Jets on an emergency basis.
The Moose can jump into first in the Central.
No, they're 4 points back.
I'm saying if they
win
their next few games,
if they win the next 2 against Milwaukee for sure, Ezzy, and that'll
need help, but they're right.
No.
It's within striking distance.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. So that should be an interesting one. And then we've got a lot of shows this coming up in the next few days. So and remember, folks, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Now most of you are subscribed, so that's good.
And remember your bus driver's name.
Remember your bus driver's name. Let us know if you want more outtakes. Maybe I can find more outtakes from the other commercials we've done. I think
you should just start sharing your camera roll. That's what you should start doing. Just start sharing your camera roll.
Drew, do you want me to go all the way? I got some stuff,
No, I know what you have.
I was going to say, I don't know if you want me to go that far back, but okay. Anywho, the point is, and remember,
nobody will. No, no.
If you got an invite from IC to like us on Facebook, become part of the IC Facebook army. I see a lot of people liking and sharing our stuff. We appreciate that. And last request I will make, because a lot of you have done it already, but I'm going to ask it for you again. If you get a chance, go on the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, whatever, preferably iTunes, and leave a comment, positive or negative, positive only, for us on the show. Appreciate it.
We delete the negative ones.
There you go. Big thank you to all the sponsors of Illegal Curve who make the post-game show, the Saturday show, and the website a possibility. By request, we name them in reverse order tonight. Our friends at The Keg, Grid Park, Rolly's Transfer, Seagram's, Boston Pizza, Tough Duck, Betway, Zappia Group Realty, Linden Market Dental Center, and of course, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club support these fine businesses because of their continued support of illegal curve hockey. Jets lose 2-1 to the New York Islanders, but we had fun. For Dave Manouk, for Ezra Ginsburg, I'm your host, Drew Mandel. Until Friday, 9:45 p.m., we wish you good night and good luck, and thanks for watching the Illegal Curve postgame show.